Well, continuing with our Easter theme, the opposition leader spent Easter Sunday in his home state of Queensland. Let's go to senior political reporter Trudy McIntosh, who is in Brisbane. Trudy, it was a quiet day for Peter Dutton and his team, was it?
Yeah, certainly a pretty quiet day. Mr Dutton only doing one small event this morning, a drive out to Ipswich in the Labor-held seat of Blair. It was a breakfast barbecue to mark Easter Sunday. Mr Dutton there alongside his wife Kiralee and their dog Ralph, meeting Liberal Party volunteers and supporters. Peter Dutton got behind the tongs on the barbie. I don't actually know if he ate a sausage in the end. I can't remember seeing him actually eat one. He certainly turned down a chocolate. He said he wouldn't want to eat before he had breakfast. All of this essentially colour for the news stories tonight, because there is that gentleman's agreement between the Prime Minister and opposition leader. It happens on Good Friday, it happens on Easter Sunday, but it is gloves off from tomorrow. They'll both be able to return to their attacks. This was a little bit of Peter Dutton, though, today with his broad Easter message.
Remember what is important in life, and what is important is family, our friends and our society, our community, and doing whatever we can to make sure that the future of this great country will always be exactly that.
Now, while Peter Dutton may not have been involved in the political argy-bargy today, he did leave it to his shadow ministers to do that. We saw Bridget McKenzie, the shadow transport minister, on Sunday Agenda this morning with my colleague Andrew Clennell, pushing back on what they're calling Mediscare 2.0. And that is this claim, unfounded it seems, from Labor, that the coalition's going to cut urgent care clinics, every single one of them that's been set up. Now, Peter Dutton's never said he's going to do that. The policy disagreement is over the new centres which Labor has proposed ahead of the election. They're yet to actually commit to supporting all of those new centres. They've supported a few. Bridget McKenzie, though, making it crystal clear.
How many are you thinking of cutting?
OK, I want to be real. Which camera do I look down? This one? That one. 0. The coalition will not be cutting any existing urgent care clinics.
What about the new ones?
We're announcing urgent care clinics.
Well, that was a pretty clear and definitive message from Bridget McKenzie there, Trudy. But do you think that sort of message is cutting through out in the general public? Because, you know, the coalition here, the Liberals, they don't have a case to make for actually doing things more efficiently or smaller. They seem to be trapped, and have been since their Medicare pledges, to basically me too everything Labor says.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't want to be caught out opposing big funding measures on health spending, because they thought that that was going to be a huge weapon used against them in this election campaign. But regardless, we're seeing it weaponised by Labor anyway. I think it is cutting through, because you've got to remember, most people don't pay attention to the daily iterations of federal politics. They get a very top-line view. I thought it was interesting, that polling we saw a day ago in the News Corp tabloids, when you look at the issue of the $600 billion costing you were speaking about for nuclear. A majority of voters believe that Labor costing on the coalition's nuclear plan, and that you'd need cuts to pay for it. So that shows you the Labor messaging is working, that voters have heard that line many times and they believe it when they're asked about it in polling. So Mr Dutton's problem here is, how do you undercut a narrative which has been bubbling away there on social media in particular for a long time? There's less than 2 weeks to go. Early voting starts on Tuesday, so a lot of Australians choose to do that now. He actually is running out of time to convince people who are going to go vote as of Tuesday.
Well, Trudy, before I let you go, then, you know, this show is called Campaign Confidential, so tell us what's going on inside the campaign. Are the Liberal people that you are with, do they think they can turn this around? Do they think there's a way that they've got a way through, like 2019 and Scott Morrison?
Well, this is a very professional operation that's around Peter Dutton. The close media advisors he has with him are a loyal team that have been there for a long time. A lot of them were working under Tony Abbott when he was Prime Minister as well. So they know how to run campaigns. I suppose the big question to me, though, is whether enough work was done by the coalition ahead of the campaign to be ready. On the policy front, it seems like not enough was done. Just look at work from home. If that had been fleshed out a lot more before the election. They wouldn't have had to necessarily dump it early on in a campaign. And the other question is how match fit Peter Dutton was for the daily argy-bargy with the press pack. He just wasn't facing that same level of interactions with the Canberra media that Anthony Albanese does because he's Prime Minister. So fascinating to see how things can turn around. We know any moment there can be a big change in momentum in election campaigns, so we'll have to watch and see.
Trudy, you're spot on there. Anything can happen, but I think your analysis is right, and it's borne out by a lot of people in the Liberal Party I'm talking to who say, maybe we should have worked a little harder on getting ready for this. Trudy McIntosh, we're going to have to leave it there.